back to some of the funny things. You know, when I talked about the Sunfire and the lack of masculinity in my life, like, let's examine the fact that my name is Walter. Now, this has provided a lot of people with a lot of hilarity as well. So let's start way back in the beginning. Let's start back in the kindergarten days. I mean, so at this point, I've already done the preschool Head Start stuff. It's kindergarten. I mean, this is like big boy stuff. This is like welcome to grown man education. And the first day, I was walking to class. Now, my mom, my whole family, my brother, everyone always calls me Bub. B-U-B, Bub. And as I'm growing up, that's all I've known is Bub. So, suffice it to say, when I go in and Mrs. Norris, the kindergarten teacher, bends down to ask me what my name is, I replied as I thought. I said, my name is Bub. She looked confused, starts looking at all the name tags. I know she spent all night just decorating and coloring, and there's not a Bub amongst the bunch. And she said, do you know who your teacher's supposed to be? I said, Mrs. Norris, which she knew that was her. And she said, what's your name again? And I said, Bub. What is wrong with this teacher? How did you get a job teaching? My name is, I'm saying it right in your ear, lady, you know? I'm like offended that how do you not have my name tag ready? How do you not have Bub on a name tag? And then out of nowhere, my dad like leans in and he's like, Walter. Now, let me just let you in on how earth-shattering that was to me. First off, I felt like I was living a web of lies, because here I had spent majority of my youth as Bub, and now out of left field, this man who now is like a stranger to me tells me my name the whole time was not even Bub, it was Walter. That was a pretty shocking revelation. And so then I had to deal with all the things that came with that. Like, instantly everyone scooted away from me, because I don't know what a nerd was in kindergarten, but I was that. Like, I colored inside the lines, and I had a squeaky voice, and I may have pissed my pants one time. And here's the thing, look, we had to do this project, and I'll never forget this, where we had to sit there with like headphones on and listen to something or whatever. And what are you in kindergarten, like 12, 11 or 12? I don't know. But however old you are, that's how old I was. And so I'm sitting there listening to this, and my legs start shaking. I start doing that, like, you know, how like girls like bounce around like when they got to pee. So like my leg is shaking, right? And then like both legs are shaking, and then like I'm wiggling in my chair like I've got to piss. But this book thing that I'm listening to isn't complete yet. So I'm like, well, let me finish. I gotta finish or whatever. And so I'm waiting, and then I'm raising my hand. I'm like waving my hand out of control because I have to go to the bathroom. So the teacher doesn't look at me, and then, you know what? Hey, when you gotta go, you gotta go. And so, like, I peed, like, a lot and everywhere. I mean, it soaked the chair, the floor. It was just a mess. And kids have great memories, apparently, and love to tease. So I was Walter Pissy Pants for the rest of the year, which was very difficult to deal with. And then, you know, coming up with bright ideas and schemes on how I could get over this, I asked my mom if I could change my name. I felt like, hey, if I could just change my name, change my identity, I would get over this Walter Pissy Pants stuff, you know, and I would be a better man for it. And she was like, well, what would you change your name to? Now, here's the thing about my mom. She was a great lady, and she was supportive, but if you said something that was humiliating or funny, she would laugh, like, right in your face, and she would also never let it go. So, when I needed support the most, I kind of was empty-handed. I told her I wanted to change my name to Clark Kent. And she's like, well, why would you want to be Clark? Why Clark Kent? Why that name? And I was like, Mom, duh, Superman, hello. Because they're going to fuck with me if I'm Superman, you know? I mean, I'm Clark Kent by day, but, like, let me rip my shirt off and I'm Superman. Instead of like talking it out with me and letting me know about fiction and nonfiction and the ways of the world and superheroes and comic books and all that stuff, she laughed probably as hard as I've ever seen a human being laugh in my entire life, to the point where like she pissed her pants. I mean, she's in tears. She couldn't believe it. You know, she's like, you're stupid. You know what I mean? Like, she was just not all in on the Clark Kent idea. And, you know, she told me, don't worry, things will get better. You know what I mean? You're going to be fine. So I'm like, okay, no problem. So I remember getting into, I got past the pissy pants stage. I actually learned how to control my bladder. And, I'm moving up through the ranks. And I think I'm in like 3rd grade now at this point. And every year was like the same. I went to the same elementary school. But it was funny because every year you had like some same classmates, but you had different classmates. So I'm in 3rd grade class, and first day I pick up my desk. I'm so excited, you know what I mean? I got my brand new whatever Kmart shoes that were popular that year, and I'm just like raring to go, I've got my Looney Tunes apparel on, because when you shop at Kmart, you're going to be rocking Looney Tunes. That's just the way it is. And I pick my desk out. I'm strategic. I don't want to be in the back because I don't want to look like a slacker, but I don't want to be in the front because I want to be a nerd. When your name is Walter, does not matter where you sit, the desk will still be scooting away from you. New kid in school, sits down. Hi, what's your name? I'm Billy. What's your name? I'm Walter. Boom. Scoots his desk away. Next day I came in. I think the kid even might have dropped out of school. That's how devastating it was for him to learn that he was going to be sitting next to a child named Walter for the rest of the year. He just couldn't do it. Couldn't put up with it. Couldn't stand it. And so, I love it was an embarrassing thing, but you know what? I felt like instead of the Walter being a weakness, let's make Walter a strong name, So when I was getting older into the dating world, I felt like the best way to handle being named Walter was to make sure that I told everybody at the bars and the clubs that my name was everything but Walter. I mean, I've been everything. I mean, I've been Ramon and Rocco and Sean and Chris, Michael, and all just, if it sounded good, Brad Pitt from Fight Club, I mean, all of those things, those are all my personas. And I'll never forget one time that I had taken a girl on a date, and I told her my name was Sean, and then or I met her at a club or something, and then I seen her at the mall, the next day or a couple days later, and somebody's screaming Sean at the top of their lungs, and I have fucking no clue who they were talking about. It was just not rendering with me. And it was that's the second time that's happened, because when I was in 8th grade, I had another opportunity to get out from under the Walter carpet, so to speak. The teacher said, hey, if you have a nickname, a middle name, or something else that you want to go by, let me know, and that's what I'll call you for the rest of the year. So my middle name was Jay, so I'm like, this is perfect. So I took my education seriously in the first few years, and so in 8th grade, I remember she was asking questions, and I mean, I am just, my hand is in the air to the point where now I've got to take my other hand to brace it right underneath the elbow to keep my hand in the air, and I'm waving back and forth, and she keeps calling on Jay, and I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, whoever this fucking Jay guy is, he's clearly not responding. Come on, ma'am, call on me. I know the answer, Well, I was Jay, so I'm stupid once again, and I even made up the name and couldn't remember, so those are the struggles that I had. But obviously a very popular time being Walter would be, I was in a bar in Lima, Ohio, and everyone else had deserted me and went outside to smoke, and I'm just sitting at the bar by myself, and I'm holding out to my drink, and this girl comes up, lovely young lady. And she smiles at me, and I smile at her, and she slides on down the bar, and she asked me, she's like, hey, how you doing? I said, good. How about yourself? Good. What's your name? And I told her Walter, and I was honest. For one of the very few times, I was actually an honest person. And you would have thought that I told her my name was Satan, or something supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, something clearly made up. Because she got violently angry, where I thought she was going to either hit me or throw a drink in my face. And she was like, Walter. Is that a fucking bar name you just tell people? Look, motherfucker, if you don't want to talk to me, don't talk to me. But don't give me no fake fucking bullshit name. What the fuck do you think you are? I just, at that point was like, you know what, I should have told her my name was Rocco. Should have went with Rocco. But that's what I get for being honest, when people are like, hey, I fooled around with this guy last night, what was his name? Walter? Well, what'd you guys fool around and do? Your taxes? You know what I mean? It just doesn't sound like a very dominating name.